Marrow's movie chat. We have a double-sized episode tonight because we didn't do an episode last week because Styled Man has too good of a work ethic to skip work
That's
to
right.
record with me.
Yeah, that's right. I don't
Couch,
know when we're going to get work right now.
tomatoes, I
Like,
know.
for instance, today I had about a half hour work that I did literally right before this started. So, yeah, just a whole half hour of work there. Yeah, earning lots of money, not even $10.
Right?
Okay. Yes, I
um,
can survive on blood, sweat, and tears. Sure. Anyways,
uh,
we watched a lot of movies in between in the 2 weeks that we that it has been since the last Couch Tomatoes episode.
yes. Sci-fi hashtag.
And I would go so far as to
Cult.
say that not many of them were really high quality films. In
All
fact,
right.
most of them were quite garbage.
That's a
Fun
bit.
garbage, but
That's a very harsh way of describing what we watched. Yes. Um, can I turn that off? I can't. Cool. I just get to stare at that. Lovely. All right. All right. First up, we watched the last broadcast, which is a revisit for both of us. We watched. We saw this back in the Beatle days, so like 10 years ago, give or take, a little bit. And I remember deeply loving it then, thinking it was an amazing, found footage film. But since then, I've seen some movies that put it to shame. And we also around the same time saw McPherson tapes, actually, which I've been doing a lot of talking with my friends because they're just now visiting the McPherson tapes. I'm going to show my friend Chloe the McPherson tapes one of these days. She really wanted to see it.
yeah,
But yeah, so
I don't think this movie holds up. The last broadcast.
So
No,
what happens is the film crew, it's a mockumentary / found footage where they find some footage of a crew that went looking for the Jersey Devil, and there's a bit of a documentary built around it, talking about what led to all this stuff with the Jersey Devil and stuff, and then they go out to the Jersey Devil, and guess what happens? The Jersey Devil happens off screen. It's pretty great. I liked it, but I definitely don't think it holds up compared to say McPherson tapes or like I said, Blair Witch, which is came out around the time, got a lot of comparisons to. I think some of those comparisons are a bit unfair, to be fair, but they're very loosely like similar.
we watched another found footage recently with the. Watch his face. The guy who, when you blink, he gets closer.
That would be Butterfly Kisses.
Butterfly kisses. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like that, which wasn't necessarily great.
Oh shit! Geek Corner with that 9-month sub. Thank you so much, darling. I hope you're having a good evening. Are you at work right now? Are we your background noise for work? Because that would be really awesome. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Shit, I lost it.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail you.
So, I felt like that was a slightly better movie than the last broadcast.
I
Butterfly
disagree.
Kisses. And the thing is, like, I don't think it's. Would Butterfly Kisses, if the last broadcast hadn't been made, who knows? Like, because that was
Would Blair Witch
influential for
exist
Team
without
Force.
the last broadcast?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to say about that too.
So I'm not like saying that shouldn't be a factor or anything.
They of course all owe everything to McPherson tapes, which came out in '89. But yeah,
at the same time, it's like I'm just saying.
I feel like there were
more than I enjoyed this.
Right. I feel like there were less amateurish moments in last broadcast than there were in Butterfly Kisses. I feel like there's a ton, there's like a whole like vein of interviews with one person where it just feels like it's film school B-roll. It just feels weird tonally in butterfly cases. I mean, and this one, the news stuff feels really hokey and not realistic. When they do news report stuff, it feels like an actor trying to do news.
Yeah.
So that's where the weakness in this one is. It's just different weaknesses, I think. You may be right that neither of them, but I don't think either is better or worse than the other. They both have huge flaws in them. Like, I think they were both good. If you sat me down and made me choose, I'd choose the last broadcast. I enjoyed it more. Do I think it's a physically like technically better film? No, not even. I think they're about the same because they have different flaws. Apples and oranges and stuff.
I'd probably choose Butterfly Kisses over the last broadcast.
Damn. Hey,
There you go.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. Did we have anything else to talk about? Found footage wise, loop in here. Honestly, I forgot a lot of last broadcast. It's a kind of forgettable film. In that sense, because other films that came later did it better, and so it's hard to go back and watch the early renaissance of the genre, right? Because even Blair Witch, which came out later that same year, I think, 98, maybe the next year, 99. I can't remember when Blair Witch came out. One of those 2 years.
I think the ultimate message there is that this just doesn't hold up.
It doesn't hold up, but not because it's bad, but because things that it does, it's like a building block movie. It's like saying Citizen Kane's bad because it's like. No, it's just an early part of the genre of how films were made. In this case, it's an early part of how that genre of film was made. I don't think it's the same quality as Citizen Kane. Let me be very clear here. But I think in that specific way, it's kind of like a building block for the genre. Especially for mockumentaries, which I think, while Special Bulletin existed prior to this in 87, I want to say. I actually haven't seen Special Bulletin. There wasn't a lot that did the mock news footage prior to this. Ghost Watch, which was kind of, but that was more like they're going in to investigate ghosts. Did we watch that together, Ghost Watch?
I don't think so.
Have you seen Ghost Watch?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's a British found footage film where it's like a TV production studio, and they're like, on Halloween, they decide to live investigate this house. And then haunted shit starts happening live, there's people in the studio talking about.
Isn't that what happens in that movie? That's
WNUF Halloween Special. That's definitely a film that influenced that WNUF thing. But it came out in '92, and WNUF came out in 2008 or something. So it's like this definitely came beforehand. Oh, you were at work. Well, that's awesome, Joss. Anyway, so the next film... Sorry, I had a little diatribe there. On our list, the Steelmanville Road. Another found footage film, because we just love our found footage here. At Couch Tomatoes.
And we gotta get through the Bad Ben-ology.
Apparently, we have to get through the Bad Ben-ology. I don't know why that became a thing, but we're doing that. And I'm not really complaining too much because they're fun so far.
Yeah, Steelmanville Road wasn't bad. You got halfway through that it is, in fact, a prequel. But I think it's pretty impressive that it takes you until about halfway through to realize that
Hey, Megan! Hi! I'm so glad you could join us. It's funny, Garbage went live just literally the same moment we did. By coincidence.
I noticed that, yeah.
I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. Yeah, so I like that they don't reveal. I mean, a mild spoiler. This is a prequel, obviously, and it does feel like it's probably the script that he was trying to make when no one showed up for his first movie, with some new twists because he set the first movie already. So you can watch this one before the other one. Actually, it'd be just fine. I don't feel like there's anything in this that spoils Bad Ben. It definitely all the things that connect to Bad Ben are more referential than spoilery. It literally just explains how the things in Bad Ben got there, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. It almost feels like they went out of their way to explain how the things in Bad Ben got there,
That's the stuff I'm sure he added in. But it wasn't, like I said, it didn't feel like you had to watch it second. You could have watched Steelmanville Road, then Bad Ben. Though the numbering would confuse you when you get to the third chapter and it's fucking the final chapter. But then again, there's 5 sequels after that, so...
And if anyone's thinking, oh, that doesn't sound like a real road name, well, it is.
To New Jersey.
It's a real road.
Because guess what? There's a connection to the last broadcast. 'Cause yes, in this movie, here are the Pine Barrens.
Yeah. It's
Pineys are apparently the derogatory term for people who live in the Pine Barrens, by the way.
well. I thought that was actually a pretty good movie. I don't think it's as good as
Oh,
the first
hold on.
one.
My camera's having a problem. 1 second. Keep talking. I'm just gonna. My camera's gonna die. You just keep talking. You're doing your thing.
All right. I don't think it's as good as Bad Ben, but then like Bad Ben wasn't necessarily a great movie either. It was just funny because you got this guy yelling at ghosts and literally having fights with ghosts and stuff. What I would say is this movie's like maybe a 5 out of 10, and then Bad Ben is like a 6 out of 10 or something like that. But
I think.
it's not as fun because you don't have the guy yelling at the ghosts and stuff. And I think that's what really that was the charm factor that I enjoyed the most about Bad Ben.
So
which is
Bad
missing
Ben.
here.
Let's see here. I think I gave that one 5 out of 10. I gave Bad Ben 5 out of 10. I gave Steelmanville 3 out of 10. I actually did not enjoy this one very much. I thought it was kind of dull.
Well, the characters in it were pretty fucking annoying. I'll put it that way. Be honest with this.
Yes,
Characters in
Bad
it-
Ben was like accidentally a better film. Exactly. Best way to describe it.
It's the best kind of better. So after that, though, we started
My
watching.
complaint about Steelmanville Road, I started smoking a bit there,
Okay.
was the ghost effects were so laughably bad. Like, beyond. I liked it better when you couldn't see the fucking ghost.
Oh, that's right.
You
that's
see this ghost?
right.
This ghost is like
Oh my
a
God.
terrible, and I mean beyond terrible Photoshop like effect. I mean, it's just someone photographed in a different light source, and then like tweaked in the computer. It's like so unbelievably, unconvincingly bad. And not like in a funny haha, they didn't mean to do. It feels like he did it purposely bad, and not and it feels, I don't know, forced in some manner.
I don't know. To me, it did feel like it was just this guy is new to making movies,
I don't know.
fairly new. And he doesn't necessarily know what he's doing. Doesn't have a lot of money to work with. I'm sure he had some more money than he did the first time around, but like, how much more money reasonably, and how likely is it that he would be able to find somebody in his neck of the woods who would be able to help him produce better?
He's apparently made
special
millions.
effects than that.
I think he can afford a decent effect artist to go through. And this is a time where I would like it. I would honestly be willing to rewatch this movie if he went through and Lucasized it, George Lucas did, and CGI'd some new ghosts, and that looked better. Maybe not as high quality as like a Hollywood film, but like just pay for some good assets from an artist, and then like make it work. You know what I mean? Anyway,
I like that the ghost follows him around and then talks in reverse,
oh yeah, it's a really obvious reverse effect.
which is so. Yes, it's really obvious and it's so cliche, and I don't know.
Oh, yeah, we're here. Okay, so
It works, but it doesn't work well.
Well, it's funny because like one of the characters goes, "I don't know what he's trying to say." I'm like, "Really? Have you've never seen a movie once? Not
Right.
once, not one movie." So it's like, yeah, it's one of those things like where the character acts like they've never heard someone talk in reverse. I'm like, in this pop culture environment, you've definitely heard it at some point. You know what that
Yeah.
sounds like. It sounds a specific way that only sounds like someone talking in reverse, and not in the way that like. And like what, and I know you can do it phonetically. Like if you know all the sounds in reverse, you can like talk forward in reverse. But it doesn't sound like that because it sounds differently when you do it that way. When you do it normal and then actually reverse, it's got a very specific sound. The film embodied that sound for like 10 minutes in the middle. Mother's Day, Last Drive-In Edition. with Joe Bob Briggs on Shudder for this one.
Oh yeah,
It's
we were
about this.
looking for more movies to watch that were set in the Pine Barrens.
No, in
So,
New Jersey specifically. The New Jersey
New
movies was
Jersey.
this week's theme.
Yeah.
Was that week's theme? Last week's theme. Last week's theme. This week's was. We tried to go for a slight theme. Sorry,
I don't remember
my
that.
deepest apology. I keep getting a mute. We had a brief moment. Oh no, the theme was holes. There's 3 movies with holes in the ground. That's what it was. I mean, it was a coincidence. We weren't trying to nail that.
Exactly.
We
It
find
just happened.
we get themes like that. So we had a holes in the ground triple bill. Anyway, so we had a quadruple bill of Jersey films.
Yeah.
Mother's Day was one of them, which
We
is
tried a little too hard.
which,
with the last two. We'll talk about
Joe
later,
Bob
but-
calls Psycho Biddy or Psycho Hag films, but we here like to refer to them as Grand Dame Guignol. As I said in every episode, that harkens back to the origination of the horror genre itself in the theater, and the Grand Guignol Theater in France, which no longer exists, I don't think. Maybe it does. It's a tourist. Maybe it's like ruins exist. Maybe the theater was there and it's now there on top of it exists. I don't remember. He talks about it. David J. Skull talks about it in the horror show in detail about the plays that happened there and how they got a reputation for this kind of macabre storytelling. And that really blends into, one can easily see like the Stokers or anyone else in the literary world having gone seen some plays. Though I think it existed sometime before those. Anyway, apologies. So yeah, this movie is about this old lady and her kids living in the woods and some very inbred Texas Chainsaw vibe.
Yes. Very weird shit going on. Her 2 kids. It is established that they're kids, I guess. But
They're her kids, yeah. Yep.
like, it's almost as if she's trying to teach them how to be murderers, and you're just like, but why though? And they never really explain why she's dead set on making sure her kids turn into murderers.
Because she's
But
crazy, I'm guessing. Maybe it's so she can kill the people she
that's
doesn't
about
like.
it. It's just like, well, the motivation is she's crazy. Okay.
It's a trauma film. At least it's a trauma distributed film. I don't remember if it's
Yeah.
actually a trauma film. Does Lloyd Kaufman make an appearance in this film? I can't remember. I think he does, right? He's an extra, I think, in the scene.
I don't remember saying
He'll appear in any. The thing is about Lloyd Kaufman, he'll appear in any movie for his appearance fee, any independent film, and any big budget film for people who's, had been in films previously, because he's in James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about this. A 9 out of 10 for the Joe Bob stuff, because he did an interview with Eli Roth, and they talked about like the production on Cabin in the Woods. I think was that for this movie? Yeah, this was in this movie.
Yeah.
And like stuff like that, and they tied it to the movie pretty well. And it's like I just hate that Eli Roth is so charismatic, because I like him, and I definitely shouldn't. He seems like someone I shouldn't like. Like, he's the kind of horror fan I wouldn't necessarily get along with. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. It's just, everything about him seems like, I don't want to be your friend, but please keep talking. Like, that's what it feels like to me. I don't know how to explain it. Nothing against him personally, just the vibe I get from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And lastly, for last week, we watched Guess Who's Coming for Christmas, aka UFO Cafe, a set in Jersey TV film from 1990, with a small part by Jeff Bridges.
I was trying to find anything I could that was a movie set in or filmed in New Jersey or something, right? And I go through this list and I find this fucking movie, and I'm like, what? That sounds weird. And I find it on YouTube.
There's been
in
no official
full, and I'm
releases, I don't think so, of this.
like, well, it's a possibility, I guess. I keep looking, but I'm like, Now, you know what? This movie looks and sounds so weird because the further you go into it, you're like, okay, a movie called UFO Cafe, but the other title for it is Guess Who's Coming for Christmas or whatever.
So
It's technically a Christmas
now
movie,
it's set
but
in New
with an
Jersey,
alien.
but I'm 99% sure it was shot in California because the Christmas for them is just desert and fucking lights. By the way,
Yeah,
hardly any snow in this movie for a Christmas in New Jersey. By the way,
yeah, it's a little strange.
it's not near the Pine Barrens this time.
Yeah. So the alien.
Jeff Bridges plays
Although
the alien. Yes, you cut out.
I said Bo Bridges.
Oh, Bo Bridges. Sorry,
Oh,
wrong Bridges. My bad. My apologies, the Bridges, for confusing them. They look so similar. God damn it.
he plays the alien,
He
and
does.
he doesn't really. It's not like he's wearing like a makeup or anything like that.
Hmm.
It's just Bo Bridges, who I guess is alien enough,
He's
but
dressed
on
like a
his own.
used car salesman. It's really like like
Yeah,
he's got like a cheap ass suit on, one of them like briefcases and a hat, and just like a real stereotype of like a businessman.
but it does work for the concept of the story where they're just like
Yes.
nobody believes this guy's actually
And
an
his
alien.
manners are a little awkward. His way he speaks a little strange.
Yeah,
Like you can tell he's putting his effort into this. I don't know why he's doing this TV movie in 1990. It's kind of interesting. Maybe he just really liked the script.
maybe I don't know.
Uh, uh,
He never
yeah.
could. Bo Bridges never could get many good roles as it was though. Like
What an amazing actor.
Jeff Bridges
Totally
always got
underrated.
better roles.
Totally underrated. Bo Bridges is a good goddamn actor.
Um, being uh, it's cheesy as fuck, but it's still enjoyable. Is what I would say. It's cheesy in the way that any like Hallmark movie would be cheesy, but
Yes, it
it
feels
strikes
like
me as
a
something
Lifetime
that
movie,
if
basically.
yeah, if they were to put it on Lifetime as one of their Christmas movies every year, you would probably be like, this is one of the better ones of those terrible fucking
And
movies.
what it
You
appears
know
to
what I
me,
mean?
there's no trivia for this that indicates such, but it appears to me that most of the budget went to getting Bo Bridges and the alien cafe built for the one fucking scene it appears in the entire fucking movie. I really thought they were gonna open it and that was gonna be part of the crux of it, like they didn't have to like close it or something happened to their dream of building it. Maybe the permits revoked or something. You know, like I thought something was gonna happen like that, and we're gonna see more of the fucking diner. But no, last scene. Sorry for the spoiler. The diner, the UFO Cafe is in the last scene. It's cool looking, but you can tell they spent their entire budget on this part. It may in fact be a
Uh,
miniature with force protected. I'm not entirely sure.
it should also be noted that the kid in this, the grandson of the main character, who's the one who believes that this guy's actually an alien, looks, this kid, you've seen him before. He's one of those kids got a face. You've seen it in a couple of other movies. I can't remember what other movies he did. I'll look that up. But the one thing, he definitely does look almost exactly like the kid, the kazoo kid, from
Yes,
all that
I had to look
memes.
him up. I looked him up I cross referenced him with the kazoo kid, the fuck kid. You know that kid from that GIF, that blonde kid from
Yeah.
that GIF. If I had an editor, that's where that GIF would appear on the scene on this screen. But I don't have an editor, so you know we ain't that popular yet. This is only our 5th episode.
Yeah.
All right, you do that. I have to use the restroom. Distract.
Okay. Distract. I'm trying to find the kid here. Is it Michael Patrick Carter? It is Michael Patrick Carter. That's right. Okay, so the one movie that, if you're like me, you would probably recognize him from the most. He was only ever a child actor. He only ever acted as a child. And one of the last major movies he did was in 1994, a movie called Milk Money. You may remember Ed Harris is in the movie, and it to me is one of those weirder movies from the 90s. I kind of want to watch it because it's about a bunch of like prepubescent boys who decide they're going to go downtown and hire a hooker to see her boobs or something like that. I shit you not. This is the premise of the fucking movie. And then that woman that they find ends up getting like involved with the family of the main kid who did the thing, and like it's very strange. It's very strange. But he plays uh, the child, the main child of the movie. There are a couple of other kids in the movie, but he plays the main child. Apparently, was also in an episode of Quantum Leap. He was also in Black Sheep, the Chris Farley Black Sheep comedy movie, and he played like the voice of the kid in the animated commercial in Child's Play, the commercial for the doll in Child's Play. So, I mean, if you saw his face, you'd recognize him, but otherwise, you might not. All I'm going to say though is like when I saw him in the movie in Guess Who's Coming for Christmas slash UFO Cafe, I immediately recognized him because I remembered him from Milk Money and perhaps Black Sheep. I don't remember where he is in Black Sheep, but definitely Milk Money, which is a movie that like has definitely been forgotten by time, and I'm not sure if it's necessarily for good reasons. Because again, as we all know, I like my weird '90s movies. So, yeah.
Are we talking about this movie still? Did you move
I was
on?
talking about the kid.
Oh, the kid. What was he in? What was the
Milk
big thing?
Money.
Oh, cut out. Of course.
Milk Money.
Milk Money. Oh God, that movie. Okay. All right. Next.
I was talking about how weird that movie is.
Yes.
It's one of those weird
This
movies.
is one of those movies. Next, Blood and Black Lace by Mario
Oh
Bava.
yeah.
A classic. Oh, I put it on the shelf where it belongs. Damn. Okay.
I have it right here.
Yay! In the inferior release, but still, you paid like $6. So like,
in
fuck.
the $6 release.
The $6. Try it before you buy it because you were buying movies without even knowing if you'd like a Bava film. So I understand.
Yeah.
You'd bought like 4 Baba films before you'd even watched one of them, so it's like.
No, I think I got this one last year actually. And
But
I
my
got
point
it
is like you
because I do
deep
like
dived
Bava.
into them, so like before we even started watching them, so like the fact that you even got like 3 or 4 movies in before you started getting like, I'm just like, you know, it's just takes balls to just dive into someone's like entire filmography basically.
Well, I like him. I like the way he
Anyway.
shoots his movies.
Yes, this is a giallo film.
Cinematography. It's very nice.
This is one of the first, like, it's in the first wave. It's like the 3rd giallo film ever made or something. Officially, canonically by whoever fuck decides that shit. I don't know. I was looking on the internet. It's one of the very early foundation to the genre. Once again, for those who are tuning in for the first time, giallo means yellow, which is the color of their lurid paperbacks, which are similar to our noir, which are based on lurid paperbacks here. So, lurid paperback to noir to giallo paperbacks to giallo movies.
And there
slasher
are
films.
There are elements of the noir in giallo movies as well.
Yep. Well, of course they are directly linked to it, and it's like, it's just like like I said, the slasher is directly connected to the noir film via the giallo, or you know, there's a few specific proto slashers that are both. That was 2 episodes I think we talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about one of them.
Yeah, Paranoiac, I believe.
No, it's just the Leopard Man.
The Leopard Man. Yeah, there you go. See, shit. All right. So yeah, Blood and Black Lace. It's one of the mysteries where I would say this is probably less twisty turny than the other ones, like the later renditions, because I guess you guys keep topping each other. But This is the faceless face mask thing and the black trench coat with the leather gloves look. This is like the
Yes.
iconic Giallo killer movie. Yeah, I
The
highly
thing
recommend.
that differentiates the giallo in a lot of ways from the noir is that, uh, well, in the noir, you're following typically like a detective character who typically isn't a detective, and
Mhm.
they're trying to solve the crime. I feel like more in the giallo, it's the audience trying to solve the crime, trying to figure out who the killer is. We're the
I
detectives.
feel like it's definitely part of the allure. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
you can almost never
one of
guess
the
them
nice things
because
that's
there's so many
one of the nice
twists.
things about it. It's like there's so many twists that it's almost always the person you least expect.
And
You
sometimes it's
know,
just a vague hint. And you're like, I can't remember. Did I guess correctly
sometimes
on
they'll
this one?
give you. Don't remember either.
Okay.
I initially guessed that it would be more than one person, and that one of them would be one of the girls that she knew. And I think I was correct. I can't remember. I think I was correct on at least part of that guess. I
I think
won't
I was
tell
correct.
you.
I think my guess of that one guy, that blonde guy, was correct. I think I guessed him earlier. Like I think it's that guy because he was the most like unobvious one. Everyone was being super obvious, and he was just like super unassuming the entire time. I was like, hmm. He's always like on the side of the character and supportive. I'm like, I don't know, you know. Uh, Next we watched The Dead Pit from 1999. Fuck, what was this movie about? Oh yeah, there's a doctor resurrecting zombies in the basement. Apparently, an earthquake unlocks him. The basement of the sanitarium. The zombies were made from his. I remember this, just all spilled out. The zombies were created from his patients he was experimenting on. They were all entombed in the basement. Earthquake unlocks him. Lady's like having nightmares or something. I can't remember what her connection with all this was, but I know there's
The
a
way you
big pit
described it
in it.
unveiled nothing for me. I don't remember as well.
I remember that much of the plot, which is not that bad. But yeah, I apparently this movie. I'd like to point out that this
Oh
movie is the
yeah.
only movie on this list that is completely unrated. I forgot to put a rating for this. I think I rated it on
Uh,
Letterboxd. Let me go conform
I
my.
think the part that you kind of forgot to mention
Oh,
all
yeah,
that is it
4 out
all
of 10.
takes place at like an asylum.
Yeah, I
Like
said that it was in
state.
an asylum where he was torturing
Oh,
the
I
inmates,
missed that part from you.
and then they were
Yes.
all sealed in the basement, and an earthquake unlocked them. That's literally the setup of the movie, but I don't remember anything about the
Yeah.
setup of the movie. And
And
so
it's
like,
one of those movies where, like, they think the character's insane, but is she really insane? And is she seeing things, or are these things really happening? What's going on? And one of the more interesting things I found about it was that didn't you say that she herself decided to, like, cut her shirt lower so
yeah,
that
she cut. No, so what ended up happening is the lady like she took her hospital robe and cut it into a belly shirt, like a smaller shirt, not like only showing about this much belly. So you see that at one point, and then I guess every night is washed, and every night it got a little bit smaller and smaller by just being shrunk in the wash until it's basically like a really high belly shirt by the end of the movie. I mean
yeah.
that lady's like naked throughout the movie, and like I just don't like belly shirts on people. I don't know. Not huge on them.
It was an '80s movie. To be fair, it was
There
popular
was a
back.
pit with the dead in it, so at least there was no.
That's
And
true.
that doctor is on the cover, so like there's literally no lies at all in this one, for at least for once. Most of these movies
It
lie to you in
is.
some way. Like most of the time it's they lie to you to be entertaining.
Yeah, it is a campy movie. I would not say the most entertaining way to end off the night, but it was fun. It was all right.
Yeah.
It felt genuinely like a movie that you would watch with Joe Bob. Joe Bob.
Right. I'll probably watch again if Joe Bob does it. His
Yeah,
because I think I'll pay attention better when he breaks it up with his
yeah.
interesting
Give us
stuff.
some bits we didn't know about it.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. All right, next we did Digging Up the Marrow, another found footage film. It's almost like we like found footage films. What the heck?
well, this one's a little different from the others, though, right?
This one was by Adam Green, the director of the Hatchet series, except for 3. Apparently some other person directed that one. Um, What else was it? Oh yeah. So and what was that actor? It was a famous actor who's playing that guy.
Oh God, I don't remember his name. I
Anyway,
never looked
so
it
this
up.
guy, this crazy guy sends Adam
It's one of
Green this
those
notebook
guys,
with a bunch of notes and drawings and stuff about these monsters. He says, "I have proof that monsters exist." And Adam Green takes his camera crew over. It's like a hybrid. It's I guess not, it's more like a documentary. And they go and they talk to this guy in a full interview style, and then they find one of these gates to the underworld where the or
Oh,
under
Ray Wise. It was Ray
Ray
Wise.
Wise. Thank you, notable actor. And so a lot of people have a problem with Ray Wise being in this role because it was a notable actor. It takes a lot of people out of the movie, the realism of the movie, but because they're like because it's noble, it was a nobody. They feel like the illusion that it's a found footage film would be held up. And then other people like me think that Ray Wise is amazing in this. I think he's the only reason why this movie is actually worth watching. His character is like his character in the monsters. His character is just like so weird and like I don't know. It's really interesting. He's such a great actor.
Yeah, I'd take it either way, whether it was Ray Wise or an unknown actor. Uh, but I can understand the choice to have that character be Ray Wise because, you know,
But
it
yeah, I have
definitely
friends
does
who
feel
didn't.
more like a Hollywood production style of found footage movie, made even more so because of the fact that it's starring Adam Green,
It's a
right?
hundred
So
percent indie movie too.
you absolutely recognize some of the people in this movie, and so it would make sense to recognize this guy as well. Um, do I think another actor could have done just as good of a job? Possibly. I don't know. It was their decision to use Ray Wise, and I don't have a problem with that decision because it's like for me at least, it's not hard to imagine that it's just you know you have to be able to like uh, uh, your disbelief. I forget.
Suspend your disbelief.
Suspend your disbelief. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Uh,
It's my job.
and I was able to suspend my disbelief quite a bit. In this one, I enjoyed it quite a lot. So,
I
so
thoroughly
quite a
enjoyed
lot.
this movie. The character designs was apparently by this artist that showed his profile, his portfolio to Adam Green, and then he was like inspired to make a movie. This took 5 years to make, so this is like an actual indie project. And I actually think that's why I like Adam Green's films so much. Because I know they're all indie films. They got a big distributor, but they're always indie films. He had no studio inputting basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed this. It starts out with like talking about horror conventions, and like and makeup artists and stuff. So it ties that all together. I think that some of the monster designs it lingers on too much. The use of CGI is minimal, very minimal, but it's noticeable. I think, especially on this one dude's like, I think that's CGI. I could be. I mean, it looks really unnatural the way it moves a bit, how quick it moves. But like the creature designs for the most part are just so cool. That very first
Oh
creature, the one that like approaches him in the dark, the like looks kind of like
yeah,
a toadstool. Oh, I want like a little figurine of that dude. But yeah, I think if you really dig like monster movies, you'll probably like digging Up the Marrow. It is, and you like found footage films. It's actually pretty high quality found footage slash mockumentary film. If you like
if you like
mockumentaries, etc.,
practical effects,
yeah, almost entirely. So it really,
monster makeup, this is amazing.
but like it's interesting because he like literally talks to McGarris at one point, and like, oh, you're talking to that guy. What a like oh, he's been like trying to get every movie director in on this for a while now. It's a really good movie. 7 out of 10 on that
What's
already.
funny is like watching that scene. That felt way more forced than anything else in the movie. That scene alone with Mick Garris and whatnot.
Yes, and that guy whose name I apologize cannot remember because I have terrible memory.
Now, I don't blame them because what are the chances that Adam literally just went up to them during a convention and said, "Hey, will you shoot a scene with me for my movie right now?" Like there's a possibility that happened. It's like it's not like they had a chance to fucking you know prepare themselves for the role. So
Yep.
so I don't necessarily blame it for feeling a little blame them for it feeling a
He
little
probably just
forced.
asked him to do this for him
Yeah.
as a favor.
Um,
You know.
what I will say is I really liked this movie. I felt like it was a very good found footage movie,
Yeah.
and I like the concept behind it, and I like that you're always rewarded for paying attention to the
Oh my
background.
God, you have to pay attention. There's things in the background of some of these scenes that forces you to see. It gives a really obvious one. And by the way, I
Yeah,
found, reading the trivia, that is the first time that's really obvious. That's really subtle. Every other time, apparently. So
yeah.
there are
I
times
have
that
a
we
feeling there
definitely
are
missed.
more than a few that instances where they're supposed to be because they mentioned this later in the movie at some point. Uh, that they're the guy says there are times when I feel more comfortable coming out during like Halloween and they also show like I think at the same time some footage of like a horror convention. It's like,
Hmm.
well, yeah, I bet you it's some of that footage at the horror convention.
I
Some of
wonder.
those monsters are actually
Ooh, that's a good idea. Oh my God, that makes me want to buy the Blu-ray. I need to buy. Well, I'm gonna buy the Blu-ray. But that makes me want to rewatch it when I buy the Blu-ray, so like it'll be higher quality than the streaming one. You'll catch out more
yeah.
details. Oh, ooh. Going on the top of the list. You
And
got
I
me.
like that
You
at the
sold me.
end, even at the end, there's like there's elements that are left of mystery because you, I won't reveal anything, but like the main character, he ends up saying like, that this is all fake. There are no monsters, but he also says like another word. There is no something or other, Vezeron, I think it is, or something like that. And I'm like, what the hell is that? You never mentioned a
Hmm.
Vezeron before. I
Hmm.
feel like that's a clue. What is it? What is it?
I want a sequel. There's
Yeah,
plenty of
where's
room
my
for a
sequel?
sequel.
Where's my sequel? Damn it!
It did pretty well. They were really tight-lipped about showing it to anybody, and it premiered at like a film festival in London. I was reading some of the trivia. That's what I do sometimes. Um, Next up, we had one hell of a double bill. We watched The Wicker Man, 1973. My first time viewing.
Ah, yes, the Wicker Man.
What
Also, my
on
first time.
what an amazing fucking movie. I mean, like, goes without saying, but what an amazing film. Like, damn.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I think I would have enjoyed it more if my internet wasn't being such shit at the time. It's kind
oh
of being shit right
no.
now too.
I
But
noticed.
like, I had to kept I had to keep catching up because like it just kept dropping out and
Hmm.
then that would cause the video to pause like
That's
ah.
so annoying.
But
I'm gonna
yeah,
buy
I
that
like the
Blu-ray. It's gonna go to the collection. It was so good.
guys going there to try and solve a crime and
There's like missing child. He's there and has to
yes.
find the missing child. She's gone missing on this island where this religious sect lives.
Then he finds out, or at least he thinks he finds out, that this child has been killed as some part of potentially as some part of a sacrifice.
Or a ritual of some sort.
And yeah, but he's not quite sure if she's actually been killed, and he's still like investigating it up until the end, trying to figure out what happened to her, uh, and potentially save her from this cult. Um, and what happens in the end is like one of those things. The title kind of gives it away a little bit, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, I mean, like, there's all throughout the movie, there's just his judgmental view of these people. Like, he was like,
Yeah, it's
every
true.
time they had like something that wasn't exactly Christian, he'd be like, "That's monstrous. That's barbaric." You know, like, why? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand. But see, he doesn't. He has zero understand. No, he has zero compunction to understand people. He's just trying to find the truth, but his truth is tainted by his crap worldview.
Yes.
and it hampers him
Uh,
from seeing properly what's happening, and he misses a lot of clues, I think, because of it.
yeah, possible, yeah. And I love that there are moments where that things are revealed about him to the audience, and those moments end up becoming quite important later in the film. It's like, oh, so that's why we needed to know that this was something. That's why we needed to know this about him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the way they unravel that slowly, carefully, is
Mm-hmm.
very impressive.
And we
And
understand the character by the end, but we still wish he could change his judgments, even though his judgments aren't necessarily unfounded. It just
you know what
he's
I like about the end of the movie, though, is like he's faced with a unwinnable circumstance, an unwinnable
yeah,
situation, and then he starts doing something that is similar to what you read in many like books of the Bible. People, at least, uh, claiming to be like speaking to God or like
right.
God speaking through them, kind of thing, right? And that happens a lot in the Bible. Of course, it is treated in the Bible as something that definitely happened. He definitely had God speaking through him or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
But uh,
Who knows?
what it's presented as in this movie is it looks more like a guy who's trying to save his own life,
Yeah.
and he's desperate to do anything he can to, you know, make either make his life have some kind of meaning or to stop them from what they're doing
Hmm.
in some vain attempt. And
It's interesting that his hubris and vanity are constantly at odds with his search for the truth. I mean, he's just like he's definitely a sinner in his life if you really think about the things he's not supposed to be. He's some of those
yes,
things like I don't know. It's
he thinks
interesting,
he's very chaste. He behaves very
but
chaste,
he's
and
judgmental in his chasteness and he's
yes,
chasteness.
it's just
Not a
like
word. Chasteness is not a word. uh,
it's just like in trying to make sure you don't commit these sins. Invariably, people typically will end up committing other sins
I
without realizing
I
it.
say without
So,
hesitation that Wicker Man is a powerful film about understanding. Ultimately.
yes, it feels like it's in a lot of ways also like we've been talking about a kind of harsh indictment Christianity in a lot
Oh,
of
it's a
ways.
harsh indictment. Hard, harsh, harsh, harsh.
Well,
Absolutely.
Catholicism in particular, but yeah,
Specifically, yes. Very specifically, yeah.
it's funny. This is 1973, right? And like a year or two earlier, there was The Devils. We watched that, and that was
Oh,
also a
such a
really
good
harsh
fucking
indictment of
movie, too.
Catholicism.
That'd be a good double
And
bill, too, honestly.
I feel like
The Wicker Man and the Devils.
you could also say there's I don't know, maybe not an indictment of, but definitely a closer look at
Condemnation.
uh, I don't know, maybe of Catholicism in The
I was
Exorcist,
gonna
right?
say The Exorcist. You didn't say The
Yeah.
Exorcist, but yeah.
So like it's interesting all these horror movies made in the 70s during this time when there were like when the new Hollywood era basically,
Right, right, right. There's like kind of like a
and they're all
faithlessness.
very
Oh, Last
I wouldn't
Temptation of
say
Christ is the 70s also,
I wouldn't say
which I
they're
haven't
all
seen, but
very anti-Catholic or anti-Christian, but they definitely are criticizing
they're
Catholicism,
criticizing the negative aspects of those things
Christian.
specifically.
Yes, yeah. So it's interesting because it's like I don't know if that would have been possible in any other era. I don't know if it would be possible today. I'm sure it
It
would,
is.
but it's like at the time when they were because of New Hollywood, they're just allowed to do whatever the fuck
A
they
lot of that
want
was
to.
unprecedented for the
You
most
know,
part.
it
I mean,
was
there was
at that time very
most
unprecedented.
of that
Yeah,
stuff you'd find in foreign films, you
yeah.
know.
So
So you followed that up with Midsummer, 2019,
of
the
course,
theatrical cut.
you can kind
Apparently,
of see the
the
connection there, right?
extended cut, yes, I would think people can understand the connection very easily. The the uh the lost my thought. Fuck.
No. Return thought.
And this
Return.
is like, I feel like, oh, I thought like Wicker Man was a very powerful film. I felt like Midsummer was even more powerful. I feel like it's more impactful. It's succinct understanding of human emotions. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But like, it's interesting to me that she becomes the honorary person, and then like she makes the choices she does because of the trauma she's been privy to. And you know, it's interesting. I was watching a video on it, and while the guy was droning on about some other nonsense, I noticed in every shot with her, what's her fucking name, and her boyfriend, every time they're in the same shot, they're divided by people or objects. They're never together unless they're touching. And even then, you can tell she wants to pull away. She has the body language of not wanting to be there. So you're slowly watching this relationship that person is too afraid to end, and the other person is slowly becoming even more and more detached and cold to it. And
Yeah.
God, what a deeply powerful film.
It's like they set the way they set the movie up. It genuinely feels like she is kind of codependent. She's
One
dependent
hundred percent.
on him in a certain way. She feels like she needs somebody to be there for her because of what has recently happened to her. And that's understandable because when you're in that kind of mental duress, under that kind of mental duress,
Mm-hmm.
of course you would feel that way. Makes sense entirely. But as a result, it's almost like you're seeing like the eventual final breakdown of the relationship over the course of the film, uh, as she finally realizes, maybe in the end, that she doesn't need him. But you know, it's still tragic in a lot of ways.
It's
The way it
also, it's like a
happens.
projection of him. Like without her in his relationship, I think he feels empty and useless. So like once they've been detached from each other, he's like discarded almost. You know what I mean? Once she's been chosen and he's just the guy there who's the intruder, it's like it's almost becomes like essential for survival for her to just throw him away. Even sight of him in her existence might trigger her to do something that she doesn't want to do. It's interesting. It's almost like grief avoidance in a way. And this movie is very deeply rooted in grief and what grief is and surviving grief and how you think you're over grief and it just comes right back at you in ways you never expected. Long after you thought you've been over the thing, grief is a bitch.
Ari Aster is so fucking good at doing grief, though. He's
He's
fucking incredible
very
with it.
good. Unlike Hereditary, which I probably won't revisit because of how the one character was killed, because I felt so much kinship to that character that I would probably revisit this. I'm gonna revisit this. I'm gonna go get the director's cut because I want to see. Apparently, there's even more about their relationship and their interactions and stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, I would love to see the director's cut if it was available in a way that people could afford and wasn't only on one website.
I'm gonna get it off Amazon UK. Get the UK release.
Are you sure that's also the director's cut? Okay. All right. Well,
Labeling on the
that's
front says
wonderful.
it is, so I hope so.
I would just make sure the running
Oops.
time, you know. Just make sure. Look at the running time.
I will. It's 45
But
minutes longer. I know. I'm aware of that.
yeah.
I give both Wicker Man and Midsummer 9 out of 10. By the way.
Oh yeah, they're very good movies. I think also like. Uh, I like this movie a little better, man.
What, you broke up?
But I said I think I also like this movie a little bit more than Wicker Man.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
But I still need to see the remake they did of Wicker Man
Yes, we're gonna watch
with
the bees, not the bees. We're huge Nick Cage heads, so we're definitely gonna get into that at some point.
I'm sure a lot of people are like, but why that movie sucked? Well,
So what?
because see it.
No, people say it
Just
sucks, but I don't
because.
give a fuck. People say lots of movies. You know what people said? Back in the day, people said Big Trouble in Little China sucked. So, and that's a fucking classic. Do you know they said every
Yeah,
John
people
Carpenter
suck.
film sucked? And now they're all cult classics. Every single one of them. So it's like,
Mhm.
look, just because someone says it sucks, just because the vast majority of people suck, doesn't mean you shouldn't
Yeah,
go and assess it on your own
it was
accord.
people like that who said that Super Mario Brothers the movie sucked, and clearly that was wrong.
Well, we've discussed this. As an adaptation of the game, it's terrible. But as a interesting cyberpunk like fantasy type setting, it's really fucking cool and interesting. If you just look at it as like a cyberpunk film with just references to Super Mario, with the Koopas and the big King Koopa and all that, the Goombas, with those and the Yoshi, those are just references to Mario Brothers. It's actually just an
Yeah,
interesting cyberpunk film. It's really cool. I really like the world they built for this movie,
yeah, me too.
for
Me
that
too.
movie.
That's why I'm like, what the hell, man?
By the way,
I like how all over the fucking place it is. It's just
yes.
wonderful.
And my favorite part is that's not even a movie we watched this week. We just randomly started talking about this. That's how much we love
Yes.
Mario Brothers the movie. I love John Leguizamo. Him and Bob Hoskins apparently were like really drunk during this whole movie, so like they're like drunk acting happening.
So maybe when they were talking, when they were doing the glug 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 glug
Yes.
thing, they're actually talking about drinking. Glug,
Yes.
glug, glug.
Yes. Yes. 100%. All right. So the movie we did watch this last week is Grandmother's House from 1988. And you're gonna refresh me. I
Oh
fell asleep
my god.
a little bit in the middle of this for like 5 minutes. I wasn't lost, but I was just like, I know I missed a crucial scene. So
So this movie, it's called Grandmother's
I
House.
have to
I
rewatch this
think
one.
because there are these two kids end up.
Gave it out of 10, 8 out of 10.
It's
Sorry.
literally starts with these two kids going to their grandmother's house. I
Yes.
think the
Oh right. I
concept
remember
being
now. Okay.
that their father had died and their mother died earlier than that at some point,
Yes.
and so with their grandparents now.
Mm-hmm.
Very odd, like the bus is going down the street. They're on the bus, right? As it starts out, and the street is completely lined with palm trees, almost like I don't know, a rich person's estate, almost, right? It really felt to me like I don't even think I'd seen this kind of thing in any place in Florida or in California for that matter. But I thought to myself, this really feels like something that you'd see in maybe I don't know, not the Philippines, but that part of the world almost,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like just randomly out of nowhere, there's a street that's completely lined with palm trees, right?
Well, interesting to note, palm trees were brought to America by the conquistadors, and they are a fucking reed and a scourge, and they will just grow anywhere. That's what, and there's palm trees on every fucking continent now, because of that, and because of the conquistadors. They were considered like a rarity and something that people desired back in the ancient times.
Regardless, this movie is set in California. You can actually see the California plates on the car. I don't know if that's intentional, but I'm pretty sure it's set in California.
Yep.
Their grandparents own a farm. The farm is basically an orange art orchard.
It could be that would put it around like Central Cal, probably. That's where
They
all
run
the
through
orchards
the orchard a couple times, and there are oranges all over the place. It's an orange orchard.
Yeah.
So it's like it's never explicitly said that the grandparents are wealthy or anything like that, but
they're upper middle class, maybe.
They're definitely upper middle class. Yeah.
They're definitely not poor.
Just from the start, the grandparents are acting kind of weird. There's something strange going on
in the neighborhood.
You can't tell what's going on, and the main kid, the boy, kind of realizes something strange is going on, and is like paying close attention to what his grandparents are doing.
And the film is the whole time playing misdirection with us too. So.
Oh, and it stars what's his name? Uncle. Fuck.
So I gave this movie 8. I gave it. Where's Grandmother's House? I gave this movie 6 out of 10. I thought I gave it 8 out of 10. 6 out of 10. But I only drifted off for a brief second because it's like 3 in the morning at this point by the end of this movie. But like I really enjoyed what I did see. I would probably pick this up from Vinegar Syndrome because that's who put it out, by the way.
Uncle Leo from Seinfeld. It's Len Lesser. Len
Yes,
Lesser. It's
Len
a
Lesser.
face you would absolutely recognize. He's got one of those faces you wouldn't be able to forget. He's the grandfather in this, and
The barely seen
it's
grandmother is dubbed over by someone else apparently.
and that's the funny thing about one of the funny things about it to me is that it's called Grandmother's House, and the grandmother is entirely dubbed over throughout the entire movie, and you barely ever see her.
Right? She's in it
And
so little of it.
she's not really an important character or figure in the film. It's very interesting. It's very cheesy in that way, but I don't want to give too much away. But what I will say is that this is the only movie I've ever seen with a planted payoff, not of a shotgun over the mantelpiece. No, no,
Yeah.
planted payoff of geese, a
Yes.
goose attack.
Goose attack. That's right. I remember that now.
Not even kidding you guys. These two boys, one of them is the main character boy, are like just fucking around with explosives because of
Like they,
course.
one of their, okay, so one of the,
Duh.
I think the grandpa had like leftover, Korean and or Vietnam War, munitions, including apparently a fucking missile they were taking the innard goo
Yep.
out of, which I don't think it works the way they showed it.
Yeah. Explosive gel, apparently. I don't know.
And they
I think
loaded
that.
a little raft up with like, I don't know, 2 pounds of that shit. And they blew it to high heaven.
Yep. And they're like, "Oh shit, we're gonna get in trouble." So they start running back, and they're about to run through like a chicken coop that also has geese in it for some reason.
Yeah.
And the one kid's like, "No, don't go through there, man. Those are geese." And he's like, "What? What's wrong with the geese?" Clearly, you've never been around geese before. They'll take your eye out, man.
Yeah, they'll fucking. I mean, they will, and they can gut you. I mean, like, you gotta
And
fucking
so
watch
at that
out. These
point,
are
I
fucks.
literally said out loud, if I don't see a goose attack by the end of this movie, I'm going to be severely disappointed. And guess what? I was not severely disappointed at all. It was wonderful. It was magnificent just to see. I can't believe they
What
did
was
that.
there was
Why,
no
of all things, would they plant and pay off that? I don't know.
there was another
But
one
it
that I
makes
pointed
it
out.
glorious.
What was the other one that I pointed out? Fuck.
I can't remember, but there was another plant and payoff.
And I
Yes.
pointed it out, and I was like, oh, and then of course it happened. Like, oh my goodness. But no, I really enjoyed this one. Like I said, I
Oh no,
probably
no, no! It was the thing in the basement. Something happens early on in the basement with and then later on we see that
the guess.
that thing you're worried about happen in the basement.
Right, and I don't remember what it was, but like, yeah, this movie is actually really enjoyable. Like you said, I would buy it from the Vinegar
It's
Syndrome.
absolutely ridiculous, but in all the best ways.
Yeah,
Like
it's 1988. What do you expect?
watch it with your friend, you're gonna have a blast.
I
You
think,
know?
I think it might be weird punk, dude.
Yeah, that definitely has elements of weird punk in it.
So weird. So like, yeah, the whole like reason why they're moving all those bodies, and like that's why it's weird punk. You're like, what? That doesn't make damn sense.
Yeah.
You see anything else the last 2 weeks worth talking about?
No, I haven't had time, or really haven't had the impetus or drive to.
So I
Various
watched
reasons.
Martin and Transconfiguration, which are basically Transconfiguration references Martin a lot. Movies about these people who are crazy and think they're vampires.
Mhm.
But you need to see Transconfiguration, dude. You really do. You're gonna love that movie.
Okay, what's transcon? Sell me. What is it?
I just say okay. So it's a kid who thinks he's a vampire.
Oh, I thought you were talking about.
I'm talking about both of them. They're both similar themed. One's just
Okay.
2016 and deals with like, different
Okay.
peoples. It's they turned it
Kid
they
who
went from
thinks
a white kid to a person of color. So,
Hmm.
and they changed the setting to like New York and like it's interesting. The first movie's in Pennsylvania. Martin's in Pennsylvania. So, or Pittsburgh. Sorry, Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pennsylvania. That's right.
It's not like Kiss of the Vampire, whatever it is, with
No.
The
Yeah.
Vampire's Kiss.
Vampire's Kiss with Nicolas Cage.
I'm a vampire. I'm a vampire.
I haven't seen that actually.
Me either. I kind of want to at some
I know
point.
I do too.
Just so that I can say it, really.
Anything else?
I think it's on Shutter actually. So.
Well, shit, we should do it then. Yeah, that's it. I think we're done. We're about we're a little short on time. Unless you want to talk about something in particular.
Not really. I think it's best if we
Talk
do.
about
If
pickups,
we can.
maybe.
Oh, I don't. Well, yeah, we can talk about pickups.
And
Yeah.
what were you gonna say? Sorry.
I think it's best if it's going well and it went well and everything like it did tonight, then we just keep it concise. I do think it's interesting that we skipped a week. We talked about more movies this time, but we still kept it concise.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And it's not like we didn't have a lot to say. It's just that we just got it out there. Some of them we didn't have a lot to say.
Our main goal is to talk about three movies at least in detail, as much detail as we can. We did do that. We did like 5 movies.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to we weren't doing any spoilers on the 2 very big films, Wicker Man and Midsommar. So there was not a lot of us to talk about, except for some of the themes that you might see. So movie wise, I finally got this Boy Who Cried Werewolf because it's going out of print, and I'm like, why not? I don't have a lot of werewolf movies, so I was like, sure. And then for me, this is important. This is The Intruder from 1975. This is by Chris Robinson, who did another movie. But he also wrote, produced, and directed this Vanity Project, of course. This was a proto slasher film that the elements were thrown away because I guess they were unhappy with the movie, so they just threw the elements away. And then and then the same pile that movies that Ninja Busters came from, they found this movie called The Intruder. They thought, oh, maybe it's one of the other intruders. We could trade it for something we want, or wherever, And they couldn't. They looked at the cast list and they couldn't find this on IMDb or on Letterboxd. And it wasn't until I reached out to the director and asked him what happened that they finally made this Blu-ray. So I'm excited to finally watch this movie. There's an audio commentary. It's transferred in 4K from the only 30 surviving.
Film, right?
It was a lost film prior, yeah. It was, and this is from the only surviving 35mm print. So that I'm looking forward to getting to watch at some point. I've been on my pro slasher kick, as everyone knows. And then I finally upgraded this Last Starfighter.
Nice.
This beautiful slipcover. I've of course had the previous release, which is DNR to Heck, for quite a while. And I think Princess Strega, I think mentioned this to me. No, in chat maybe. I think Princess Strega talked about this in chat, and it reminded me like 2 weeks prior. They reminded me to finally get it, and I finally got it, but it was in mail forever. So that's all my pickups really. I just got some cool movies.
Nice. I think the only thing that I got
I'm not really rich lately. I've been trying to save money.
Same here. The only thing I got in the
that fucking sale coming up at the end of the month though.
Is another Wolf Cop. Which I got because I haven't seen it yet. I wanted to see it. I don't think it's streaming anywhere. And the only other way to get this is in a double pack with the first movie, which I already had. So, and this one has been a little bit too expensive for my ability.
I'm getting the double pack because conserve space. I'm just getting rid of my single movies.
On its own, I mean, this has been like almost $15 for a while now.
Yeah.
So like, I just didn't have the money for it until I got like a $10 Amazon gift card for ads and whatnot. So I put the $10 towards this and got it for like, I think it was at the end of the day because it was a little bit lower than usual. It was like $3.
Very nice. Very nice.
So not bad to be able to finally get this one. I need to watch it still, but I did enjoy the first one. So hopefully the second one's also good. Yeah.
So like I need to conserve space in my shelves because I just had so many movies. So I'll probably get the double pack and get rid of the single movie. And same with John Wick. When they finally stop making fucking movies in that series, I'll probably buy one set. Same with the Fast and the Furious. When they're finally done with Fast and Furious, I'll buy the big set so I can have one centralized location for all the movies in a very concise set. Because I'll make it this thick and have 20 movies in it, and I'll be perfectly fine with that. Then the 20 fucking movies, or 10 fucking movies in that series right now. There are 9, about to be 10. Because it's one
Yeah,
spin-off
hopefully
film.
they don't. Hopefully they don't just forget the spin-off films. You know?
Well, they're already doing another Hobbs and Shaw, so that's happening.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, it would be the kind of thing that the fucking uh, the studios would do to be like, "Wow, we're going to give you all the Fast and Furious movies in this set, except Hobbs and Shaw."
Well, I just keep my single movie, but still.
True.
Eventually, I mean, I have all of them singularly, and in the newest release, they changed the spine labeling, so the numbers aren't the same. So it has this nice lined up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then they stopped doing the spine numbering. I was like, oh, well that's bad. I hate it. Thanks, I hate it. Anyway, do you have anything else to talk about?
No, not really.
No, all right. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next week for another episode of Couch Tomatoes at 8 p.m. Pacific here on Twitch. I will be back tomorrow at 5:30 Pacific time for Transworld Talking Nerdy with my friend Joss, live on my Twitch here. And we will see you next week, hopefully. Bye, everyone.
Bye.